Hey, Colin here, aka the Mindset Guy, with today's training video, which is part 3 in this trilogy of videos around self-esteem, except I do have a little confession to make. There's actually going to be 4 videos, right? Yay, I hear you say bonus. Yep, bonus. Truth is, I couldn't fit it all into this last video, so I'm going to create another video to finish it off. Now, if you haven't watched the other 2 videos, please go and watch them. You might have just happened by chance to find this video. Go watch the other 2 videos, part 1 and part 2 on self-esteem, because this video will make more sense if you do. And there's exercises to do in each video which will help you get the maximum out of this. Today, we're going to look at then, how do we 2 things really. How do we befriend ourselves and how do we tame the critic? Because it's this little critic down here, this internal voice down here that we all have, right? Do you have an internal voice? Did you just say, I don't know, do I have an internal voice? Yeah, you probably just talk to yourself, right? So we have an internal voice and we chat to ourselves. Part of the internal voice is the critic, and it's a sub-personality. And the critic is very quick to judge, right? Very quick to judge. Now, we weren't born with the critic when we're up this end up here. We weren't born with the critic. The critic wasn't part of our personality. The critic is something that has grown and has sort of been born out of experience and out of age. And often we don't realize that voice, the internal voice, like, making these videos, for instance, right? I'll sometimes will watch the video after I've made it, to edit it, and then I'll go, you prat, you forgot to even talk about, right? There's the critic, right? You prat. I'm a prat, complete prat, because I forgot to tell you something that you don't even know that I've told you. Haven't told you, I should say, right? But the internal critic comes in. And when you think about babies, right? Babies, they don't judge themselves. Take walking, for an example. The first time a baby stands up, they fall over, right? They don't beat themselves up. They don't fall over and go, oh, that's it. I wasn't obviously meant to walk because I'm actually completely not a failure at walking, right? They don't do that. And we as parents, what do we do around them? Well, we support them. We clear, we clap, we do all those things. Sorry, that's my phone just falling down on the floor there. My little timer, so I've lost my timer now, see? Now the internal, but you idiot, Colin, you didn't put enough blue tack on there, right? You fool, right? So, but what do we do around the child? We support it. We don't go, that's it, you had one chance, you've blown it, now you crawl for the rest of your life, right? We wouldn't do that. But people can do that to us. And that's part and parcel of life. But when we come more from this space up here, then we're less affected by all of that because we know our value and we know our worth. And so how do we tame the critic? Well, I'm going to give you 3 techniques to tame the critic, right? Your goal over the next week, before the next video, is to tame your critic, is to become aware of the critic and then use one of these techniques to tame it. Now there's lots of techniques, I'm just going to share 3 of my favorites. And the first one here is called put it in the box. So let's say that I come out of a meeting at work and it didn't go very well. And as I come out, I go, Colin, you prat, you completely messed up that. You are an idiot. I mean, what is your boss thinking of you right now? You must think, what a complete prat, right? And I'm probably going to get an email now saying, look, come into my office. I'm probably going to lose my job. That's probably what's going to happen. I'm going to lose my job. And if I lose my job, right? Lose your job, then what are you going to do for your family? How are you going to support your family? You're not going to be able to pay, you're not going to be able to put roof over the head or food on the table. And if you put your family out on the street, right, well, your wife's going to leave you for a start, isn't she? I mean, she's going to go. So you get, I know I'm going a bit over the top here, a bit thespian, but the internal critic loves to dramatize, loves to awfulize, loves to generalize negative, right? It's what it loves to do. So it loves to go into the future and make it like the worst possible experience one is going to go through. But it's all made up. It's not true. So how do we tame the critic? Well, what we can do is put it in the box. Now, what I mean by put it in the box is not put the critic in the box. But what you do is you take the experience and you think about the experience and you go from this global generalization down to a specific. So in this instance, it could be, okay, I said 2 things that I shouldn't have said in a tonality I shouldn't have said them. And actually what I need to do is just go and apologize. So now it's just in a box. So how do you get it into a box? Get specific. Second technique is pivot to the positive. So when you hear the internal voice come in, this critic come in, and it's being very critical. So maybe I eat something and the voice comes and says, "You fat pig," right? Which is not going to cause me to feel too good. So what we do is we pivot to the positive. So it could be, yeah, and I'm going to lose 10 pounds. So moving it to the positive gives us choices and keeps us moving forward. The last technique is my favorite, and this is where you name the critic. So I have, because they're sub-personalities, right? So my critic, my critic, I like to call Nick, and I call it negative Nick. So negative Nick. Nick stands for negative internal critic, NIC, right? Negative Nick. And I have a visual representation of negative Nick, and it's a funny one. I'm going to share it with you, but it is a funny one. So when and I expect negative Nick to come in, you know, I know negative Nick, if I do something, negative Nick wants to come in and is going to tell me a little bit about myself, but obviously on the negative side, not the cheerleader motivator, but negative. So what I do is I kind of just honor, oh, here comes negative Nick, yeah, right, so well done negative Nick, very, very good, right? And I kind of take the piss out of negative Nick a little bit and have a bit of fun with negative Nick, right? At the other end of the spectrum up here, I have what I call WIGs, or Wiggy, stands for Wise Internal Guide. So WIGs. So what I like to do is, you know, honor negative Nick, and let negative Nick do what negative Nick does really, really well, but basically I don't accept it. You know, it's not who I really am. Remember the money, right? Who I really am is who I really am. That's me at my core. But then I like to just get quiet and get peaceful. I like to connect with WIGs, Wise Internal Guide, and ask WIGs, what do I need to learn from this? What am I meant to be getting from this? And also, what do I need to do going forward? What's the right decision to make? And if I'm peaceful, if I'm quiet, in a state of alpha is the best state, brainwave of alpha. Wise Internal Guide WIGs always does a great job for me. Always gives me different information or different, you know, a different decision to make than certain negative Nick. So there's three simple critic taming techniques that you can use over the next week. Have fun with them, play around with them. There's more, so maybe get online and, you know, and put in internal critic or critical voice or something like that, and you'll get some other techniques out there. They're certainly my favorite. The other thing that I want to talk about in this video is all about befriending ourselves, because it's the ultimate journey back home, back to our first psychological address. So this BF stands for best friendy. How do we become our best friend, right? Which represents this here, our best friend. So this is an exercise. Now you're going to need a pen and a piece of paper for this. So please make sure that you do the exercise. Don't just be passive here. Get a pen and paper, do the exercise, right? So stop the video if you don't have pen and paper and get it. All right, now I'm presupposing you've now got pen and paper. So here's my first question. My first question is, who are your top 5 friends? I want you to write down 5 of your best friends and best buddies in the world. Right, write that down. Stop the video if you have to, but write it down. 5 of your best friends. All right, I'm presupposing you've done the exercise. So my first question is, are you on that list? Now the chances are, having done this exercise many times with many people, you're not. And congratulations if you are, right? It already says a lot about you. If you're not, then why didn't you put yourself on there? Why are you not your own best friend? Question mark, worth exploring. Now let's do the second part of the exercise. I want you to think about those 5 friends, and I want you to write down what traits or characteristics or qualities, the way that they treat you, make them your best friends. All right, so stop the video, think about each person or collectively, and write down what is it about them that makes them your best friends. So stop the video and do that. All right, now, great. Now, obviously, I'm not with you, so what sort of words did you put down there? Did you put words like that they're, you know, accepting of me? Doesn't matter what mood I'm in, they just accept me. Is it that they're patient with me when I'm a bit grouchy or whatever? Is it that they love me unconditionally? Is it that they're generous around me? You know, they'll always support me when I'm in need. That we have fun together, and that we experience new experiences together, etc., etc. Whatever it is, right? Here's what I'd like you to do. I'd like you to put self in front of whatever you've put down there. So self-accepting, self-loving, self-understanding, self-generosity, self-patience, whatever they are. because the journey back to our first psychological address is ultimately befriending ourselves. It's about being our own best friend, not our own worst judge or critic, but our own best friend. So we back ourselves 100%. We don't need the world to do it for us, and when the world does it for us, it's bonus, but we don't need it. So we're not needy of it, right? And so what I'd like you to do over the next week is start to build those qualities. Look at how can you do that? How can you become more self-accepting? How can you become more self-loving? How can you become, so that you love yourself, warts and all, everything about you. You love all of you, right? How can you do that? And start to explore ways of doing that. So that's it for this video. Plenty there for you to be getting on with and more information. Now in the last video, we're going to really move into the self-concept, and we're going to look at, how can you tell, what are the telltale signs of low self-esteem and this self-concept up here. But on this video, what I'd like you to do is give me instant feedback, 1 being not very good, 10 being really good. Feedback's already great for me, but more importantly, help spread the word. I mean, get the video out, put it on your favorite social media platforms, tweet it or Facebook it or whatever works for you. Please share it. In the hope that someone somewhere at some point will watch this when they really, really need it the most, when they're really down, down on their luck, and this video and this series might make a difference. So thank you very much. Colin Hiles, Mindset Guy. I look forward to seeing you on the next video.